All right, so we're all taught this one thing, right? Chase success, hustle harder, and whatever you do, do not fail. But what if that's all wrong? Today we're going to get into comedian Kevin Fredericks' book, Successful Failure, and believe me, it completely flips that whole idea on its head.
I mean, this quote right here, this is pretty much the whole book in a nutshell. It's this paradox that Fredericks, who you probably know as KevOnStage, unpacks with stories that are both hilarious and, honestly, pretty profound. That little distinction he makes between having failed and being a failure, well, that's everything.
Okay, so first up, his main idea, what he calls the gospel of failure. And look, this isn't about, celebrating losing for the sake of it. It's about completely rewiring our brains to understand what failure is really for.
See, what he's saying is that we've got it all wrong. Failure isn't the scary dead end we're supposed to avoid. For him, it's the raw material. It's the teacher, it's where you learn the lessons, and as we're about to see, it's usually where the best stories come from.
And this whole mindset, it started way back. I'm talking when he was just 7 years old. His entire relationship with performing, and with painful failure, was pretty much forged in a church play of all places.
So picture this. He gets cast as Goliath. His brother's playing David, but Kevin decides he's not just going to fall down. No, he's got to make this a show. Even at 7, he's thinking, I have to win this audience over, no matter what it takes.
And, oh man, it's just as chaotic as you'd imagine. The fake rock gets thrown, he goes down hard, face first onto a concrete floor with like a paper-thin carpet on it. His lip splits wide open, there's blood everywhere, and the crowd, they go absolutely nuts. They're cheering, they're laughing. The pain was very real, but so was the applause.
And this right here, this quote, says it all. That moment, blood, applause, and all, it basically set the stage for his entire life. It taught him something huge. Total commitment, even when it hurts, is how you connect with people. And that lesson stuck with him for decades.
So that commitment, it led him down let's just say, a very long road. And that road was paved with some pretty epic flops. Before he ever became the KevOnStage we know, he had to try and fail at pretty much everything else.
And man, the pattern is it's almost comical. He wanted to play basketball? Nope, crushed by a guy who went on to the NFL. The Air Force, like his dad? Nah, washed out. That first big comedy gig? He bombed so badly he actually quit stand-up for half a year. It was just one swing and a miss after another.
And his business ideas? Oh, you gotta hear this. He starts a clothing line, right? Called Dreams Don't Die. He sinks 20 grand of his own money into it and gets back, wait for it, $712. His punchline is just perfect. Well, they do if the shirts don't sell.
But maybe the most legendary failure of all is a deeply, deeply personal one. He's on a bus with his girlfriend, who's now his wife, Melissa. He decides to eat some sketchy Rocky Road ice cream to prove he's got an iron stomach. Spoiler alert, he did not. Let's just say it was a total disaster. But see, here's the twist. This moment of pure, absolute humiliation, it didn't destroy him. He turned it into comedy gold. It became one of his best jokes, his signature closer. He took his worst moment and made it his biggest laugh. So you start to see a pattern here, right? These weren't just a bunch of random bad days. They were actually building toward a real philosophy. And this is the big question, isn't it? You look at all this, the split lip, the washed-out dreams, the failed businesses, and you have to ask, was it all just a waste of time? Was it all for nothing?
Well, his answer is this idea he came up with, the successful failure. Take his KevOnStage app, for example. His goal, and you gotta love the ambition, was to take down Netflix. Obviously, that didn't happen. But what he learned from building it, from marketing it, those were priceless lessons. It wasn't the win he wanted, but as he says, it wasn't nothing.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? You don't really learn much when everything goes perfectly. You learn how to get good by, messing up. You figure out how to throw a perfect pass by throwing a few into the dirt first.
It's so ingrained in his process that his own director of photography starts shoots by saying, okay, y'all, let's go make some mistakes. Can you imagine that? Instead of aiming for perfection right out of the gate, you're giving yourself permission to learn. It just takes all the fear out of it. So after all that, where did this philosophy of failure actually lead him? Well, it led him to success, but it also completely redefined what that word even means.
I mean, by any standard you can think of, the guy is a huge success. We're talking NAACP Image Awards, New York Times bestsellers, his own studio, sold-out tours all over the world. The list just goes on and on. But the how he got there is the whole story.
And here's the key takeaway, the most important part. His success didn't happen in spite of all those failures. It was built literally on top of them. The terrible comedy set taught him about timing. The failed t-shirts taught him about business. Each flop was another brick in the foundation.
So in the end, the message is pretty clear. Your losses matter. In fact, they're not just part of the story. Eventually, if you learn from them, your losses actually become your wins.
And that's really the challenge he leaves us with, right? To look back at our own biggest screw-ups, our most embarrassing moments, and ask ourselves, what if that wasn't the end? What if your biggest failure is actually just your next big break in disguise?